For a developing nation, moving on to OECD standards, the Uzbek economy is projected to grow by some 5.2%. It's a sizable number, according to the International Monetary Fund. But there is a lot to balance here. You've got the recent reforms, and some of them are extremely recent, by the way, and yet at the same time, the geopolitical headwinds. You look at, just think of Russia, Ukraine. Remember, this country was part of the old Soviet Union. Well, the head of the EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Odile Renaud-Basso, says that Central Asia and Uzbekistan's in a delicate position.
I think globally, the economy has weathered quite well with all the shocks and post-COVID, and then the impact of the war in Ukraine and all the geopolitical consequences for the region, Central Asia, which is really in the middle, in the epicenter, in a way, of the tension. But I believe the economy has weathered quite well, 6% growth on a steady way, macroeconomic stability, inflation going down. So, I mean, I believe they really manage well. Reform are continuing. I think that the big question was whether after a first wave of reform in the first mandate of the president, they would have the energy to continue. And I think what we are seeing now is a new wave of reform, which are very important because to open up.
But that new wave of reform is based on what?
Opening up state-owned enterprise, reforming privatization, energy sector reform that has taken place, but that has unlocked a lot of investment in the energy sector, taking advantage of the big potential in renewable, solar, wind, and so forth, but also financial market reform, banking sector reform, that's part of the privatization, that would also should facilitate unlocking the potential of SMEs development and growth.
They have to avoid the kleptocracy and particularly as you do privatization, you have to avoid the old Soviet Union to Russia, sell off to the oligarchs, ensure that there's a proper distribution and ensure proper safeguards.
Absolutely. Transparency, competition is very important, and rule of law, and that's key element for success, being successful in this reform implementation. And that's something, having open competition, transparent processes, and so forth. This is absolutely key to have the right incentive, to have the best prices, and to have the best outcome for the people. Because all the objective is really to develop the country, but for the benefits of the people.
Can we talk about Ukraine? You're very committed now in Ukraine, and the situation is not getting any better there. In fact, it's getting worse. How concerned?
I mean, there is a positive news in the element which is the US package, which I think will really, is a big relief. I think it's an important moment, an important decision to help the situation, in particular on the military front, but also in the economy. I mean, the situation is not easy, but we've also seen the resilience of the country, their capacity to react, to adjust, and so forth. And so we are continuing to invest. We are supporting them in adjusting to the new challenge. For example, the electricity generation is becoming a new challenge, and we are going to help them with that.
But you are now investing into a country which may not be successful ultimately. What happens then?
So first of all, we believe in the success of Ukraine, and we measure our risk. So in the first 2 years, we invested with risk sharing with our shareholders. So we had some guarantees and so forth. And now, in end of last year, our shareholders agreed to give us capital increase, and so we'll have more resources in order to be able to absorb the risk on our balance sheet. So we are equipped with the capacity to have, the buffer needed in terms of financial buffers that will allow us to absorb the risk we are taking.